So welcome back to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. You know, if you were fortunate enough to harvest a deer now, the first week of the season, or coming up in other archery seasons and hunting seasons, good for you. I happened to find a pound of venison with pork from last year. How do I use it? I simply make sausage. Now, in the past, we've made 30 pounds of sausage, and that recipe's on the internet. But what about if you just want one and you want to do it right now? Here's what I think the key is. Remember 1 teaspoon. Right here, 1 teaspoon of fennel seeds. In this container right there, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper. And you could use red pepper flakes if you dare. I personally like them, but we didn't do it this time. And then, of course, over here, cheese a little bit later, and parsley a little bit later. But right now, I say the key to this is putting it in a spice mill or a blender, right? Add it all in there. What I'm looking for is, and there's 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder in there as well. I didn't want to use fresh garlic because remember, I want this quick. I want to get this done. Now I'm gonna sit here, whoo, I'm smelling that already. I'm gonna sit here and I want that to be powdery because it's not like a sausage that's gonna sit in the freezer for a while or overnight. I wanna eat this in a couple of hours. So I'm simply gonna do that until I think it's just about all ground up. And then I'm gonna knock it down and I'm gonna take it out. There you go. Now before I use that, I'm gonna simply stretch this out so that I could cover all of the venison in that pan with this dust. Okay, there's the dust. So that's gonna have to work through, and by that I mean I'm gonna need a little bit of water. These are not meatballs. I'm not using eggs and breadcrumbs. I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons of cold water in there. And then I'm going to put about 1/4 cup of grated cheese. This is Romano, you could use Parmesan. And then I'm gonna use about 1 tablespoon of parsley flakes. And now it's time to mix. Now I can smell sausage already. It's gonna be a simple sausage because we're not gonna use real garlic and we're not gonna have time to let the chunks sit before we grind it. Now what I like doing with this, if I have time, what I like doing with this is covering it and putting it in the refrigerator, which I happen to have done already. So now I'm gonna take the one that I did a couple hours ago, and as you can see, we're ready to make meatballs. I'm gonna turn my stove on here, the frying pan, and we're gonna make some meatballs. A little bit of olive oil. And I'm just gonna brown these meatballs enough to stick into my marinara sauce that I have over here in the other pot. So we're gonna make some meatballs. A little bit bigger than a golf ball. When my oil gets hot, I'm gonna put them in and brown them. That cast iron pan is worth every ounce of gold that it's got there. And I like cooking with it. It keeps things hot. Maybe that was a little too early. We're gonna keep that heat going there. All right, so I think the oil may be hot enough. We could throw some of the other meatballs in there. And we're just gonna let them brown. I usually get between 6, 7, maybe 8 out of a pound. And all we really wanna do is have them brown enough so we could throw them in the marinara because our goal is a little pot of sauce and marinara. Let's let them cook on each side. I'm not gonna play with them too much. I'm just gonna let them brown, and when I think the one side's brown, we'll flip them over to the other. We don't want them to burn. That's nice. They'll actually break away from the pan when they're done. That's nice. I'm getting the fennel. I can smell the cheese. We're just gonna keep rolling it on the sides that aren't cooked. Trying to get it brown pretty much all the way through. Now, most people that make sausage know it's important to add some cold water. They know it's important to let it sit for a little while anyhow, just to make sure that all the seasonings go in, and then they grind it, and as they're grinding it, it goes right into a casing. So what we've done is sort of stepped over that whole process by grinding them real fine, putting some cold water in, mixing them, and then we had the ability to set it aside for a while, but believe me, I have done it where I didn't have the time, and it was just as good. So it's been a couple of minutes, and of course we just want to brown these really nice. And you could choose to put them on sausage and peppers. You could choose to serve them just like this. I have a little pot of marinara going here. And one by one, I'm gonna take these out of here. Turn the heat right off, they're done. Look at how nice, brown, definitely smell a sausage in these, absolutely. They may take another half hour or so maybe in the sauce. Maybe turn the sauce up a little bit. These are really pretty meatballs. And there you have it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that they're all covered in sauce. Like that. They're looking good already, aren't they? Wow. Okay. I'll turn the heat up just a little. Put the lid on. We'll come back to those a little later here on the show. We're going to take a short break, and we come back, we're going to have Pennsylvania people and places, so stick around.